Maxey, 34. Embiid, 31 and a half. You're getting the production from them. They're the only three averaging in double figures for the Philadelphia 76ers. And when you look at everyone else, that's not the case. They're all in single digits for your basketball team. Now, when you go to the New York Knicks and you look at what they've been getting from their contributions overall from their team, it's totally different. And that's part of the problem of where we're about to go with this conversation. And that's everyone else outside of those three players, Maxey, Embiid, and Lowry. Surprisingly, Lowry, but the Knicks have 6 guys averaging double figures. The role players are helping out, Derek, where on the Sixers side, that's not the case. And that's been a big source of discussion, certainly, for where this team is right now, down 0-2, not getting help from Tobias Harris offensively. Same with Kelly Oubre, who had a really good stretch coming into the playoffs where we felt like he was the X factor. And then Buddy Hield traded at the deadline to come in. We wanted to see what he looked like when he played with Joel Embiid. He's looked like crap. How can they fix this? Who is more likely to step up? And is that the case when they're playing at home where role players seemingly play better?
I mean, so I agree they should play better at home. And because of that, I think you have a real chance to go back to New York tied 2-2. And that's why I haven't completely given up on this series and gave the Sixers just guesstimating a 15% chance, mostly because Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are really fucking good. They're just really good at basketball. And if you get just 1 or 2 role players who step up in any given day, you have a real chance to win. Unfortunately, the Sixers in any of these games have never gotten more than 1. But in terms of who you can rely upon, you can't rely upon any of them. That's why Kelly Oubre was signed to a minimum contract. That's why Kyle Lowry was bought out at 38 years old. That's why, nobody really wanted to give up anything of value for really just about anyone that the Sixers have. And they're flawed. Their flaws, I think, are more pronounced. That's why Buddy, the 3 second-round picks. And like Jay Crowder got 5 last year. Buddy got 3. There's reasons that all of these players were available for so cheap because they are very, very flawed. And I think at various times late in the season, you can convince yourself that these players are different because they're playing competition who's not very good or competitions who's checked out, and they can feast on sort of like that. But once you get to a team that's really good defensively, that's really locked in, you're just not going to have the same opportunities you previously did. It's like going from, Division I to the NBA. It's just a completely different sport. So, look, I think any one of those players can give you a big night on any given night, but you can't have none of them do it. And that's what the Sixers have been trying to tread water with.
I mean, I think the most dispiriting thing, if you're looking at it from the Sixers' perspective, is that a guy in Josh Hart, who, if you were playing a pickup game, he's the guy who a jumper goes up and everyone yells, "Short!" as soon as the ball goes up. They have, to some degree, defended the Knicks in a way to funnel shots toward Josh Hart.
And I would say, good on Nick for sticking with that, even when Josh Hart started the series off 8 for 13 from 3, and he's still
and he missed a big one late last night in the fourth quarter.
And Nick stuck to his guns and kept with it. Yep.
I 100% agree, but there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Again, I go back to give Josh Hart credit for not matching his statistics from the regular season because this is a 2-0 Sixers lead in the series if he doesn't do that. On the other side of it, what really baffles me the most, I think, because Buddy being a little bit scared in this, or playing scared in this moment, not super shocking. We saw him play hesitantly, a little gun shy in the regular season. Kelly Oubre taking 0 threes the entire game in 25 minutes is crazy.
When usually my complaint with Kelly is he takes too many jumpers.
And that's what's so shocking about it, right? I think you can see he's expending a ton of energy defensively. He deserves a lot of individual credit for the job he's done on Brunson. I would not have expected him or the team, but him individually, to have as much success as he has guarding Brunson for such long stretches of time. But offensively, he's given them just absolutely nothing. And so to get so little from him, the bench has given you very little. I come back to, it reminds me of their playoff failures in the past where a lot of guys are just unitaskers, right? Like Nick Batum is a catch and shoot guy. Buddy Hield, catch and shoot guy.
And an out of bounds passer, which a little ironic considering what happened. But
Devon and I talked at some point before the show, and I think this has been in my head throughout the series. De'Anthony Melton would make such a massive difference in that he can do enough things well enough that against scrambling defenses in the playoffs, he can hit the occasional open three. He can put it on the floor a little bit. He's a good connective passer. He's not going to take away from the defensive identity that you've built. If you could just take Buddy Hield out of this rotation and put De'Anthony Melton in, ask him to play 15 minutes, that would be a potential series swinging thing. But they don't have him. And as we've said many times, you can't count on him. So now the options, frankly, right now, are all either bad or risky, right? Like Campaign, I think in his brief cameos has looked up for the moment. But he also is a guy who can get picked on defensively. And I said leading into the playoffs that I don't trust him on that end of the floor. You get past him and you say, okay, well, who do you go to? Do you bring in KJ, who he's certainly a live body, a great athlete, guy who would get after it on the glass, but got plenty of offensive limitations. Ricky Council, you're going to bring in a guy who has not yet played in this series. He's a rookie who just got converted from a two-way contract, who was barely in the rotation at all for most of the season. I'd say was out of the rotation for more of the season than he was in it. You're going to just unleash him in a playoff game, and right now is a do or die game 3. Like you go down 3-0, the series is over. Is this the time that you're going to go off the wall and play Ricky? I understand why fans want to see guys like that, or Ricky specifically, because he does feel like he fits the identity of the series. He's tough. He's physical. He rebounds. He'll attack the basket. By the way, their field goal percentage at the rim last night is absolutely despicable. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I want to say it's in the mid-30s, which is borderline impossible.
They should be in the 60s.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's like 1 percentile level finishing at the rim, which is just heinous. So I get it. Like, people want to see something different. You always want to, once you die in a game, you want to at least die another way in the next one. But I do not envy Nick Nurse having to make these decisions, because I think there are downsides to basically every option you could throw out there. But I think at this point, do we all agree on this? Somebody should get a chance for Buddy's minutes.
Someone needs to have an opportunity.
He's been the worst player in the series.
Without question.
It was 36%.
36% on shots at the rim.
9 for 25. 9 for 20. That's wow.
Someone should get an opportunity. And whether it's Campaign, yes, he's going to get picked on. The defense has been good enough as a team overall and individually, of course.
That might be my Joker moment.
Campaign could provide a spark where they might need a spark. The scoring is still a problem. They have scored, 101 and 104 in these 2 games. So they still need to be able to put some points on the board, because you never know. You might have an opportunity where you get out and run and you get some really good looks and get things to fall that is higher up there in terms of the 100s. Campaign is a decent option. Ricky just doesn't know what he doesn't know, and that's the good thing and the bad thing about throwing him in there. But you take that chance, how much worse could it be when Buddy Hield is giving you absolutely zero on the offensive end? Buddy Hield played decently enough defensively on Jalen Brunson, a couple of possessions on the one end, but offensively is why he was snatched off the floor, because he wasn't giving you anything. So to make the argument for Ricky Council IV or KJ Martin, offensively going to give you nothing by himself, he's heavily relying on everybody else to maybe get him some shots. At least you know you're going to get some bounce. You're going to get some energy. You're going to have maybe some open floor opportunities to run where Buddy Hield is missed in transition. The same thing for Tobias Harris, missing in transition at the rim. Kelly Oubre missing at the rim in transition. Yes, you go down 3-0, you're going to lose. But if you keep throwing Buddy Hield out there for those minutes, you're probably going to lose then too, because he's not making those shots. So the argument is there. And again, the hook is going to be much quicker when those guys are on the floor than it is for Buddy Hield. So it may not hurt you as much in that short span of 2-3 minutes when you throw Martin or Council into the mix of the rotation for Nick Nurse.
We all silly like the mayor.